Adding motion blur to Final Cut Pro 10 projects makes the stuff look great, I have to admit, but it can slow a computer down. And I've come across a really clever trick that I want to share with you to show how easy it is to work with quite heavy motion blur, but still to have all that functionality available that you can trim, etc., without everything grinding to a halt. As you can see here, I've got 4 stills on the Final Cut Pro 10 timeline, and I'm going to apply some transitions between them. I'm using the XEffects 3D transitions because they look good, and also they've got quite a bit of movement to them, which should actually help so you can actually see the motion blur on there. So I'll put one on there. Let's put another one, let's say folder, that's like a brochure, and on the end we'll give something really tough for the motion blur to do, and that's a double-sided box roll with a nice highlight going across the two. Let's just make these a bit longer, shall we? Try and tax the computer even more. And there we go, 3 transitions on there. Now I'm going to use the motion blur settings from the 3D transitions pack, which has just been recently updated. The easiest way to do that is to use the X key and mark the actual transition. Go to, let's say, medium on there, click that and hit Q, and that drops. You see these frame rates slowed right down. And I'm using quite a powerful computer on there. Let's do the same on here, mark X. And this time let's put the heavy version on there. So that's more samples, more blur, more everything. And the same one on there. So again, X and Q. Okay, there we have 3 lots of motion blur, and as you see, I'm even getting a bit of a beach ball on there while the computer thinks about it. Now that's fine, but I want to be able to trim, move things around. I don't want to get stuck with this motion blur every time I do it because it slows everything down. And then I had a brainwave. These are actually titles made in motion. So why not make a custom motion blur roll? Add roll. Call it motion blur, apply, lasso them, assign video rolls motion blur, and if I look in my timeline index, I've now got motion blur, and I can globally turn those on. So that's the original, and off. You see there the motion blur's on, likewise up here. Always having to think about it. I go, well, that's not very good, I want to be able to edit, turn it off, and it plays. So that's a global motion blur on-off trick in Final Cut Pro 10. And it also works inside compound clips. If you put a motion blur title inside a compound clip, it will turn it off as well. You don't have to go through and toggle that off independently, or enable or disable the clip by using V like you do there. This is just one overall global motion blur control. I hope you enjoyed that trick. It might help you. If it does, please subscribe or leave comments below. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.